like to choose from these four. We're asked to find the domain. D. So we have g of x equals the fourth root of 6 minus 5x minus x squared. Perfect. Okay, any suggestions? We are asked to find the domain of this function.
Can we put it in parentheses if we're at 1, 4? What's early 1, 4?
When we are asked to find the domain of a radical function, we cannot change the radical function anyway. There is nothing we can do there. So this is a radical function. It has index odd or even. So then what has to happen?
Has to be greater than or equal to
What has to be greater than or equal to 0?
X. No, whatever number's inside the radical has to be greater than 0.
I have an expression. So what has to be greater than or equal to 0? So I can take the fourth root from it. Exactly. Very good. The whole thing. Whatever I have under the fourth root has to be a positive or 0.
And you just rewrote that, right?
Yes, I have to put it in descending order.
I'm just making sure.
Yeah, Shane is right. He gave me exactly what I was going to ask next. He's reading my mind, so I have to be careful when I write the test.
Let's hope.
One of my professors used to say that he always wrote the test like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour, whatever, before the test itself, because he always thought that he was afraid that people will psychically find out or know what. No, I don't do that. Okay, good. So now, what is this? What am I trying to solve? Polynomial or quadratic inequality. Now I have to think, how do I solve this? Right. Good. And now again I think, okay, how do I solve this? Okay.
So 1 plus 1 equals 6.
So I need two numbers whose product is -6, and the same numbers whose sum is
1, 5.
good.
6 minus 1, 6 and negative 1.
So x
Plus 6.
good. What do I do now?
Set them both equal to 0. Well,
No.
solve.
No.
Finally, put it into that term thing. That's a proper term for it.
It's the same. It's the same, right? It's a product now. It's even easier than the ratio. Say it again.
Does the fourth root come back into play? Or is that?
We're looking for the domain. We're not doing anything with the function. We're only trying to find its domain. So x plus 6, x minus 1, and the product. Which numbers go in the chart?
Negative
6
Right.
and negative.
See how useful this is? It's even used in finding the domain of a function. So what is the product under -6? What does it equal to? And what is the product? Yes, of course, it's a product. There is no risk of undefined. What type of functions are these, and what is the sign sequence?
They're linear functions, and they're going to be
Right. Actually, since you get rid of the negative sign, you will always have all of them positive. You will always have this sequence as long as you get rid of the negative sign in front. So it will be always easy. So the sign on the first subinterval?
Negative.
Good. And the middle? And outside? Good. So finally, I'm looking and see what I want. Which sign is less than or equal to 0? Right. So the domain of this function is between -6 and 1. Of course, brackets both. Yes, of course. I rushed into writing the. Any questions? Okay, so once you would like to go back to Maple, you will see how easy this is, and even here it's easy. Okay, let's see. I have 6 minus 5x and minus x squared. In parentheses, which power?
1/4.
Exactly, or 0.25. Excellent. Good. So now my question is, I claim that the domain is between -6 and 1. Oops, let me enlarge this. So I'm going to want to see only between -10 and 5 with a scale of 1. And by the way, what type of answer will I ever get? The fourth root of what kind of answer will I always get?
Oh, fourth root of everything positive.
There's no number that I take to the 4th power to get it, right? So the answer has to be positive. So I don't even want to bother with the below, but I'm going to put it in so we can see it. Let's say between -5 and 10, and with a scale of 2. So where do you expect the function to show?
I'm sorry, negative.
Between -6 and 1. There is nothing else. Good. Very good. Next question. Can we? Yes.
Oh, okay, so okay.
So I think there should be answers at the back if you look carefully. Okay. Use algebra to determine. Okay, I'm sorry about that. So it's one word here. To determine whether the following functions are even, odd, or none of the above. Please choose a function so we can show odd, even, or none of the above. We want to look at C? Yes? Okay. So we have the absolute value of 6 minus x. How do we determine whether a function is odd or even or none of the above? What do we have to find?
I don't remember.
Okay, so a function is odd if f of -x equals -f of x, and it's even if f of -x equals, correct. Very good. So then what do I have to calculate no matter what?
Negative x.
Correct. So in both cases, I have to calculate f of -x and check whether it equals this or it equals this. So f of -x is the absolute value of 6 plus x. Yeah, minus and minus. Okay. So does the absolute value of 6 plus x equal the absolute value of 6 minus x?
Yes.
The answer is no. They are not the same.
Oh, you're-
So for this to happen, for the function to, for us to conclude that the function is even, I have to show that f of -x equals the function. Well, that's not the case. Now let's find this one, -f of x. So I multiply both sides by -1. So -f of x will be -6 minus x. Now, are these two the same?
No.
No. So what do I conclude about the absolute value of 6 minus x? Of course, not symmetric. It's not odd, it's not even. Okay, this is what we have to do. Can we move on, or we need something else here? Okay, don't forget to redo the problems we did in class. That's the first requirement, always. Which one? You said any?
Alpha. Right.
Oh, okay, very good, I'm sorry. So f of x equals x minus 1 to the 3rd power. Good. Now, can you picture this graph right away using transformations?
X to the third, it's gonna be.
So how do I graph x cubed? And now, how do I graph x minus 1 cubed
You move it to the right one.
to your right? Will this be symmetric? Good, but I have to show algebraically. What do I have to find?
F of
Negative x. So negative x minus 1 to the third. I will have to factor out negative 1. Notice that I factor out negative 1 inside the cube. I did not, that does not affect the cube in any way, shape, or form. So now I have, how much is negative 1 to the third? Negative. And how much is x plus 1 to the third? It's x plus 1 to the third. So now I have 3 questions that I ask myself. Does this equal what? F of x. Does this equal what? Okay, or none of the above. So let's analyze. Are these two functions identical? Are they? Are these two functions identical? This one and this one, are they identical?
No.
No. Now, are these two functions identical? And I have to find negative 1. I have to multiply both sides here by negative 1. So negative f of x equals negative x minus 1 cubed. And now my question is, are these two identical?
Yes.
Really?
No, that was plus sign.
They look pretty similar to me.
But
Really?
negative.
So in other words, if you have 10 plus $1 is the same with having 10 minus $1.
Oh, I missed the plus sign, sorry.
So- Good. So what do we conclude?
Not symmetric.
We knew that because we pictured the graph already. Knowing transformations, we already knew that the graph that was initially symmetric was shifted 1 to the left, to your right. Correct?
Right.
It cannot be symmetric anymore. It was x cubed, was. But once we shifted the graph 1 to your right, of course, it can no longer be symmetric. We knew that. Good. Anything else? Okay, let's go back here. I would like to look at I still have 10 minutes, right? Right? All right. So I think, and please do all these problems, all the answers are in the back. You should have no difficulties here. However, I want to work on 1, hopefully on 2 of these problems. Please choose.
What handout is this?
The other one, the big one.
The one
The big one with simplifying an expression.
oh,
And on page 18 at the bottom.
Actually, it's page 19.
Uh-oh.
Not ours, page 19. Page 18 is situation 2. Exercise to simplify. And page 19 is situation 3. Exercise to simplify.
And 4 is not.
4 is on page
So maybe this is a older handout. But the problems should be the same. The only one we cannot solve today is this one because we haven't talked about trig yet. But I would like you to choose one of these or this. So let's choose. We only have 9 minutes. Which one? It doesn't matter. They're all the same.
4.
We want 4? Very good. Okay. So we have the square root of x to the 4th over 16 plus 1/2 plus 1 over x to the 4th. Ready? Is this on your newer handout, the same problem? Problem 4?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I'm asked to simplify. And we said from the beginning, there are 2 key words in algebra, in pre-calculus and calculus. Factor, simplify, factor, simplify, factor, simplify. Okay, that's why we had that first agreement. Okay, so what do you think? What should I do here? What is the first thought towards simplifying this?
Make each of them their own and put 1/2 at the back.
Very good, but I cannot do that. So let me tell you, this is very important. So we cannot split a sum under a radical. We can split a product, we can split a ratio, but a sum or a difference, no. Never. Good. So there must be something else.
X to the fourth.
Say it again.
You have to move the.
There is this is not an equation. I cannot move anything anywhere.
Can you simplify x to the fourth? Square root x to the fourth. Square root 16.
No, because I cannot split it.
It's LCD, isn't it, at this point?
Nope. The only way I can take a square root from something is if I have this. That's the only way. There is no other way. If I have 3 terms or 2 terms or whatever, how many number of terms you want in there, if I have a square root, I should have something squared. If I have it to the 4th, I should have something to the 4th. Otherwise, there is nothing I can do. See, can I ever simplify the square root of 2? No, because it doesn't have this on it. But if it does, now I can. So whatever I have, these two must be the same to get plain x.
Okay.
Or a multiple of this, 8 and 2. So that's no longer the same. 16 and 2, then I get 8. 20 and 2, and I get 10. So at least these have to be the same for the radical to go away. That's why I started with those 3 on our first agreement. There are 3 terms in there. Let's give it a shot. A wild guess. Don't look at the middle. We will look at the middle, but for a second, don't look at the middle. Can you give me your wild guess?
X squared over.
4,
Plus?
1 over x squared.
Good. So it's not done. Hold your thoughts for a second. So I know that when I square a binomial, how many terms I get? That was our first agreement. 3 terms. 3 terms. First agreement. Please look at it carefully. And I know the first term must come from this one squared. Is that correct?
Yes.
I know that the last term must come from this one squared. Is that correct?
Yes.
What is supposed to be the middle term here? Can anyone tell me?
2
2 multiplied by x squared over 4 and multiplied by?
1 over x squared.
Good. So I simplify this with this, and I simplify the 2 with the 4. What is this? 1/2. Now I'm looking. Do I have 1/2 as the middle term?
Yes.
Which means that I'm correct. These 3 are condensed into this binomial. These 3 terms are condensed into this binomial squared. And now I can take the square root. Can anyone give us the simplified form of this expression?
So it's x squared plus 1 over x squared.
That's it. I would not write, I will delete it. I will not write the absolute value here. Why? There is no need for the absolute value in this answer. Can anyone look at this expression and say, of course, you don't need the absolute value in this expression because
It's squared.
it's always positive and there is a sum. This is always positive, this is always positive, and I also have a sum. If this were a difference, then I would have used the absolute value.
I didn't know that.
So are we done at this point?
That's it.
Okay.
Let's choose another. We have 5 minutes. I would like to show one more. This is extremely important. I highly recommend do all these problems and check the answer in the back, please.
Can we do 7?
7 it is. So in 7 we have the square root of 1 plus 1/2 y cubed minus 1/2 y to negative 3 and everything squared. Good. I'm going to try and simplify this. How do I do it? What is my first step? Yes, I have to square it. Exactly. Good. Can anyone give us, how many terms will you give me? Our first agreement?
3.
Please, exactly. Please do not say 2. Good. So please give me 3 terms.
1 5.
1/4. When I square, have to square everything.
1/4 y.
6. Very good. Now let's write the terms. Let's write it. What is the sign? If this is minus, I cannot write positive here. If it's minus in the middle by our agreement, it has to be minus in the middle term.
Minus
2 times the first term times the second term. In a moment, we will do that, yes. Plus what?
One negative.
There is no negative in the binomial. The last term will never be negative.
So it would be
Plus
plus 1/4
1/4 y to the, if it has minus 3, I cannot make it into 6, but into, I agree. Good. So now let's work on the middle term. Can anyone give us the simplified form of the middle term? Obviously, the 2 and the 2 will go away. When I multiply y to the third by y to negative 3, what do I get? Y to 0. No. Copy the base, add the exponents. Y to 0 is 1. Of course, y is considered not 0. It cannot be 0 because it's y to the negative 3, which is 1 over y cubed. So, correct. So, yes. So, I'm going to write this, what I have right now, one more time. 1 plus 1/4 y to the 6th minus 1/2, as you said, perfect, plus 1/4 y to negative 6. Now, what will be the next step? Yes, I have to combine. No, I cannot cancel anything else, but I have to combine these two. Nothing else goes anywhere. So how much is 1 minus 50 cents? 50 cents with positive. Okay, so I copy 1/4 y to the 6th plus 1/2 plus 1/4 y to negative 6. And now you know what follows, because we just did a previous problem. And you will say, I know. You will be able to simplify it only if you show what? Say it again. Correct, but only if you show what? We just did it on this problem. We just did it on this problem. That's why I started with that agreement. I need those formulas forever.
All right, so we're just working backwards. So it'd be 1/2 y to the third plus 1/2 y negative.
Now I need to check the middle term. I have not even looked at the middle term. Look, I even covered it. I don't even know what's in there. So what will be the middle term here if I expand this? 2 multiply 1/2 y to the third times 1/2 to 1 times y to negative 3. I know this product is 1. I know this product is 1. What is left? So is this true that this is indeed that? So then the final simplified form will be?
So it's going to be 1/2 y to the third plus 1/2 y negative.
However,
Bring it to the bottom.
yes, you can. However, this is not always positive. If y is a negative number, under certain conditions, this quantity could be negative. Now I have no choice.
So we had to write absolute value.
I have to write the absolute value.
So is negative y